SCP-041, also known as Thought Broadcasting Patient. SCP-041 is a male human suffering from the effects of what is believed to be a rare strain of bacterial meningitis. One of the more prominent effects of this infection is the subject's body severed many of the neurons within the subject's brain, mostly disconnecting the central nervous system from the rest of their body. 041 relies on machines, such as a ventilator and pacemaker, in order to remain alive. While the subject physically appears to be in a vegetative state, any peoples within a 10-meter radius of the subject claim to hear their thoughts, along with 041's thoughts, broadcast through the air. However, no attempt to record said thoughts have been successful, in addition to the quote-unquote airing of said thoughts being completely involuntary. In addition, visual images and thoughts can be transmitted in the same way, though not as frequently, and can only be seen when the sender and receiver both have their eyes closed. SCP-041 himself, despite the phenomenon he causes, is not very talkative, with no direct responses to questions asked by Foundation researchers being documented. SCP-042, also known as a formerly winged horse. SCP-042 is an animal believed to be a member of the genus Equus, resembling that of a common horse. Its appearance matches what a common horse would look like, with a white coat, along with some small brown spots, in addition to standing 183 centimeters to its withers and weighing about 710 kilograms, which has lowered significantly ever since being contained. One thing not average about its appearance is the two bone protrusions sticking from its back, with powerful, now atrophied, musculature throughout its back. Despite the wounds around the bones being continuously open, 042 doesn't appear to be bleeding from them at any point. 042 has been documented as having a listless and unresponsive demeanor, not responding to any incitement to move around or even eat, except for when the Foundation uses pain as a motivator so it can be cleaned. Even with the pain response conditioning they use, 042 eventually does not respond to any amount of shock used, to the point it would fall unconscious before budging. Besides that, researchers are divided regarding 042's intelligence. Some say 042 has some level of sapiency due to the way it looks at onlookers with an almost pleading gaze, while others claim it to be no smarter than any other Equus, with events of it injuring itself on equipment. SCP-043, also known as the Beetle. SCP-043 resembles a vinyl copy of The White Album by the Beatles, though it doesn't appear to have any groove standard for a vinyl record. In spite of this, the record will play from beginning to end, regardless of starting position. The true anomalous quality surrounding 043 is when the 29th track plays, where, instead of Revolution 9, the disc stops and faint breathing can be heard, and sometimes the breathing will be accompanied by an unknown male voice. Said voice will respond to questions about nearly everything regarding the music industry, music theory, as well as obscure trivia for most bands and artists. However, the entity refuses to answer anything about the Beatles as a group, nor the individual bandmates. SCP-044, also known as World War II-era molecular fission cannon. SCP-044 is a howitzer developed during the latter stages of World War II under the supervision of a man named Albert Speer, who was essentially the German Minister of Weaponry under Adolf Hitler. Besides its absurdly large frame, clocking in at 251,000 kilograms, it is also capable of firing anything that is able to fit into the rear of the weapon, which is configured into a massive air compression chamber. Researchers believe 044 is able to destabilize the molecular structure of any object put into it, despite not appearing to do more than any other howitzer. Both equipment and personnel have been lost trying to investigate the barrel of 044. Upon striking a surface after firing, any object launched will create a proportionate impact, though the impact may increase the longer the quote-unquote slug remains in the barrel. The largest documented result comes from the time when the administrator's personal diesel pickup truck was loaded into 044 and shot. See included image for reference. SCP-045, also known as Atmospheric Converter. SCP-045 is an icosahedron composed of ice-12, a metastable form of water ice that is typically formed only within a narrow range of very high pressures and temperatures, with an average radius of around 1.7 meters and a density of 2.6 grams per centimeter cubed, double the normal dimensions for ice-12. SCP-045 itself remains in a stable state at temperatures ranging from negative 273 Celsius to 227 degrees Celsius, and pressures ranging from 0.4 pascals to 3 gigapascals. Any attempts to melt or vaporize 045 has resulted in water, but the source of it is unknown. At random points in time, ranging from 2 weeks to 3 months, 045 will spontaneously rotate on multiple axes for no more than 73 seconds. During these events, a series of seismic events measuring 2.3 on the Richter scale will occur. If the item is prevented from spinning, the seismic events will increase in magnitude logarithmically to a maximum of 5.3 on the Richter scale. Afterwards, 045 will temporarily double in size for the time it's spun for. In addition to that, when gaseous nitrogen or argon comes within 3.7 meters of 045, they are replaced with different compounds, nitrogen to water and argon to sodium chloride or table salt, respectively. SCP-046, also known as predatory holly bush. SCP-046 is a predatory botanical mass in southwestern Kentucky composed of two parts, SCP-046-1 and SCP-046-2. SCP-046-1 is a large mass of vegetative matter composed of plants native to the area. SCP-046-2 is the land in the immediate vicinity of O46-1, as well as O46-1's primary feeding ground, extending nearly 20 meters in radius from where O46-1 is. Both animals and humans that are suffering from life-threatening physical injuries, diseases, or self-destructive psychological disorders feel compelled to go to O46-2 and lie in a prostrate position facing O46-1. O46-1 will then inflict the subject or subjects with an unusually powerful combination of opportunistic infections, including MRSA to cause necrotizing fasciitis, as well as black mold to cause paralysis in the victim, before various species of insects are released to consume the body of the subject. SCP-047, also known as microbial mutagen. SCP-047 is a heavily rusted, breached gas cylinder made of an iron-like alloy that produces a previously undocumented mutagenic gas when exposed to open air. This mutagen appears to not prefer eukaryotic organisms, like humans, but rather prefers prokaryotic cells, with a preference for common human microbiota, or the bacteria that lives on our skin. On occasion, these microbes become what is considered a superbug, later labeled as 047-1. While bugs vary from instance to instance, certain characteristics such as enhanced survivability, increased reproduction rates, and increased transmission, among others, are consistent across all cases. 047-1 samples are debilitating and virulent, but possess a low mortality rate due to the mundane means of infection. SCP-048, also known as the Cursed SCP Number. SCP-048 has long been considered the cursed number within the Foundation, with all items labeled as such having been destroyed, decommissioned, or otherwise lost to the Foundation. In addition, Those assigned to research the SCPs designated as SCP-048 have a 50% higher rate of turnover due to death, dismemberment, and disciplinary actions. SCP-049, also known as Plague Doctor. SCP-049 is a humanoid entity bearing the resemblance of a medieval plague doctor. However, instead of the regular black robes and ceramic mask being articles of clothing, the pieces appear to have grown from O49's body over time. Despite this, X-rays indicate that the subject still has a skeletal structure under their exterior. SCP-049 is able to converse in most languages, but prefers to speak in either English or medieval French. While regularly cordial with Foundation staff, the subject becomes rather agitated or even aggressive if he feels he's in the presence of quote-unquote the pestilence. This attitude extends farther with O49, becoming hostile with anyone he deems as having the pestilence, actively seeking them out, with Foundation staff having to often restrain him when this occurs. If left unsupervised, SCP-049 will attempt to kill his target, which he is able to do with simple skin contact. This ability appears to be an annoyance to O49, who often shows frustration or sorrow for causing the death of the victim, claiming to have done nothing to kill the pestilence itself. Afterwards, 049 will conduct crude experiments in an attempt to fix the victims, and while they aren't all successful, the ones that do go right are considered O49-2. The instances are reanimated corpses, though lacking any memories of their past lives, only generally moving after spotting a live person or when directed by O49 directly, upon which the instances become rather aggressive. SCP-050, also known as To the Cleverest. SCP-050 is a 1-foot tall statue of a monkey reading a book with the words, To the Cleverest, engraved at the bottom. Whenever left alone, 050 will be both helpful and annoying to its current owner, cleaning up their workspace and other adjacent areas within the owner's house, while also laying traps to be found. If that is all, researcher, then thank you for taking the time to increase your knowledge about the SCP Foundation. This is Index Terminal 1, signing off.